Hello, Rob. Leisure and Shanna Grip here. Going to talk about her EasyGum case. Shanna, thanks for your time. Thanks for talking us through. So why don't let's just jump right in. I'm going to press play. So here is a case that you did. This is the final result. Just talk about super high level. How many minutes did it take you to do this case?
I believe this one took about between 15, 20 minutes to complete.
In about four materials?
Yeah, we used two base colors with the modifiers and the easy strip, and then a little bit um, of the pink flowable at the end.
All right, so talk us through this first step. So you're applying one of the intense modifiers. Your favorite is, what is that?
This is the plum. So this is the plum red, and I use this literally on every case that I do. So I do put it onto the prosthetic directly versus picking it up because it's a little sticky,
Good.
and I can move a lot faster. So I'll put a dot exactly where I want to like pull it down and around. I found that using a paintbrush actually makes it a bit easier. That or I'll use the silicone tip to pull it down towards the T to kind of start creating that shadow effect to give it a more realistic 3D look.
And I noticed you pulled off the metal tip on the tool. Just glob a dot on there
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah. So like just moving a lot faster. I mean, you could use the tip if you want to be a little bit more precise, but this part doesn't really have to be nice and tidy. It's going to be covered up. So it's just basically what's going to be showing through that strip color. Here I did add a little bit of the root. And
Hmm.
again, not having to be really neat and tidy. I got it on there and pushed it into exactly where I wanted it to create some more opacity in that area so it would shine through.
So the root, you like using the root underneath?
I do. Some cases I use it on, some I don't. This one I wanted more of the opacity to shine through. So I did use this so it would be a little thicker looking in these areas.
And you apply
This
the
I
strip.
use
Go
the
ahead.
strip. I place it so it's even with the finishing edge, and then I kind of mold it and push it around the arch and kind of like stretching it in a sense and warming it up with my fingers. Once I know that it's warm, it does cut away a lot easier.
Hmm.
So it's not sticky, but it's a little bit more pliable, I guess you can say.
And you reuse the material there that you're cutting away for. Do you ever
Yeah,
use it on a
always.
separate case, or do you just use it on the same arch?
I can use it on the same arch if I need to add a little bit, but I do put it back into the container. So I can reuse it if I need to add it to something different
Nice.
or a layer. So here I'm using the silicone tip. I use this same kind of like procedure, what I'm doing, this workflow on all of my cases. Once I get the strip on, I do dip my silicone tip in a little bit of bond, not a lot, not saturated, just enough so it'll like slip across the
Hmm.
resin. And I use like a downward motion and like kind of pressing it into place where I need it in those embrasures.
Nice.
That is like when you start to kind of push it into its place, you get a little bit of translucency, and then you can start shaping the free gingiva. But yeah, and kind of go back and forth between because some of it in the height I'll cut away right at the finish line, and then I'll use the silicone tip again to make sure that I'm pressing it back into the prosthesis. And then using my finger also too in the heat, you can press it into place and make it nice and smooth. So easy. So I did have the lady, she told me, she's like, why do you make it look so easy? Like, I don't
So you,
know.
talk to us about the Explorer here. You like using the Explorer.
I do like using the Explorer. It has a really fine tip so I can get down into the embrasures, but I can also shape the tissue the way that I want to. So I can kind of like roll the Explorer around the cervical and kind of like it makes that tissue roll.
Hmm.
Yeah, the Explorer is my favorite.
Yeah, you use that a
You can get
lot.
the best shapes. So I go back and forth quite a bit between the Explorer and the silicone tip to get it just the way I want.
Yeah, so it looks like you use Explorer and silicone tips for most of your workflow.
Pretty much all of it. Those are my two go-tos.
How many cases have you done so far?
I think I've done about, we've done 11 cases now.
Nice.
11 cases so far.
Getting a little bit faster each time, or you think you pretty much hit your max velocity?
No, it's getting a lot faster. I mean, I did three of them right back to back. So I've gotten a pretty good workflow. So here lately, I've been kind of experimenting a little bit. So it does take me maybe a little longer than I would like, but I'm still trying to get the feel and maybe I'll try this or try that. But this workflow is probably my go-to.
Nice. If you had to go just for speed, how fast do you think you could do an arch from start to finish?
Oh my gosh, if I was just doing speed, I could do this in 10 minutes.
But on
You can
average,
get,
you're
yeah,
15 to
you could get
20?
the resin on there quickly and nothing fancy. Get it on, cure it, polish it within 10, 15 minutes. Here I'm using the pink modifiers. Once I
Yeah,
cure, I do run the pink modifier along the gingiva, that transition line, just to seal it. And I will kind of push it around to just highlight these areas as well.
when you say seal it, what do you mean by that?
Well, sometimes you can have like a little bit of gapping.
Hmm,
Um, so this will actually kind of fill in those gaps between the teeth and the gingiva.
gotcha.
Little less glaze later on. So some people will use like a glaze to fill in these places. I like to use the pink modifier. It's super translucent, but you can kind of manipulate it to kind of look like that naturally roll tissue over the teeth. And you can use one shade darker and it kind of gives it just a little extra contour.
You got a bench light there. You just cure between steps to kind of lock it in.
Yeah, so I keep my light close to me and I just do a lot of tack curing
Yeah,
before I do my big cure.
nice.
Yeah, I do a couple of teeth at a time. If you put too much on, this particular flowable will slump on you. So I'll do like 2 to 3 teeth, tack cure it, and then move on to 2 or 3 teeth um, until I complete the whole arch.
Nice.
And then using the Explorer to kind of like pull it up so it doesn't sag down into the teeth.
And then you got your endo tool here.
Yeah, I have this cool little tool. So I use endo files to do, and I use the violet just to kind of darken up and make some veins or be a little extra. So the fine tip will allow me to kind of like just drag the violet color through. I'll use the microbrush to kind of maybe pat it out just to kind of make it less, I don't know, less looking like a line and more like it kind of blends into the tissue.
Nice.
The microbrushes can also leave like a little bit of texture.
Okay.
So if it's, you don't want to use like a lot of stippling, but you can kind of dab it to kind of pull the resin up and it'll look like it has texture in certain areas.
So there it is.
There it
Beautiful
is.
case in about 20 to 25 minutes.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of the anatomy that you see was all done by using the Explorer.
Yeah, so that rolled edge right at the CEJ, you're
Yeah.
forming that with the Explorer.
And you can see, I mean, we can see kind of like where the frenum is. It doesn't really pop out, but it kind of gives you that illusion that it's there.
Hmm. Awesome.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for walking us through this case.
Oh, you're so welcome.
I'm sure we'll see you more on some future webinars.
Can't wait.
Thank you, Shanna.